So I will pick one of these spheres and I will watch for modify. I will look the size of this sphere. It's 5 centimeters. If you need to change the scale, you can go to Customize, Unit Setup, and choose between US Standard, Metric, Custom, and Generic units. I'm used to work with Metric, so I will let it there. Hit OK. If you have already converted your object to editable poly, you can still watch the size of the object. Go into Utility Panel, enable Measure, and you will have your dimension on the 3-axis. Alright? So, I hope you have an HDR downloaded to your hard drive, because it's the first thing we're going to load. And before loading the HDR, you need to change your render engine. Press F10. So we're opening our render setup panel. Inside common options, scroll down and deploy assign renderer. In this case, we're going to change our production default scanline. Choose main array from the list. And now we have a new panel appearing called Indirect Illumination. Click on Indirect Illumination and raise the final gather at least to medium. Now scroll down till you find Global Illumination and enable it. Very well. Now we can close our render setup. Okay, we're going to load our HDR image. You will need to open your environment options, press 8. You can find your environment options too on rendering environment. You will find your environment map as none. Click none and load bitmap kind of. Okay. Now you will need to load your HDR from here. So load any HDR you have. We'll use always the real pixels, and let's click definite or define exposure. Click OK. That's right. And open your material editor. Click M. And now you have material editor. This is a slate material editor. I used to work with the two kind of editors depending on the kind of work that I'm doing. We need to configure our HDR as a spherical environment map. So drag and drop your HDR to the empty grid. Let it copy as an instance and choose OK. Very well. Now double click in the name and I will rename this. So I'm saying name it as map number 0. I don't like it. I will use my HDR image. And my environment, at least in this library of HDR, must be spherical. So the kind of mapping is environment, spherical environment. Very well. After this, you can close your material editor. And we're going to be working with environment and effects. You will need to add one skylight to your scene. You can find it on Create, Lights, Standard, and Skylight. Create your skylight and go to Modify panel. Alright, now we have our HDR as environment, but we need our HDR as a sky color. So drag and drop from environment map to sky color map. It says none there. Use the instance option and click OK. Very well. Now, if you hit render, you will have your objects illuminated by the HDR, and you will find your HDR as the background image. My spheres are a little bit floating there, but I don't mind now. Very well. Now, how do I see my HDR image as background through the viewport? So I can change the position of my camera and see where the light is coming from. I will hit Alt B, activate Use Environment Background, and activate Display Background. Okay, there you have. Now you can change your camera and see where the light is coming from. Very nice. I will let my camera out like this. I will change my spheres positions. There. The next step here is to change our camera exposure. You have seen this is very dark. Okay, we need to open the environment panel again. Press 8. And we have to change the exposure control to mental ray exposure control. It's mental ray photographic exposure control, not Mr. photographic exposure control. Now, I recommend to use one exposure value of -2 as reference value for any HDR image. Activate Process Background and Environment Map and click Render Preview. Something happened here. This is fine. Now, I have my image a little bit reddish. This is because of the white point. You must change your white point till you find your render preview as gray or white. Better now? Fine. If I hit render now, I will have a very more lighted environment. Nice. Now the next step here is to test a few materials so we can appreciate my environment reflection. Open your material editor, and I will use the compact material editor for this task. I go to mode, compact material editor, and I will load 3 different kind of materials. And now I will use my Autodesk library materials. So choose one empty sample and click on the standard button. Now you will have your material map browser. This is the same material map browser that appears on the slate material editor to your right side. If you scroll down after you have activated your mental ray engine, you will find a new category called Autodesk Material Library. And you will have a bunch of materials here. Very well organized. So let's say I want some glass material. Transparent will be clear, and I will assign this material to my first sphere on the camera. Now go to the second material sample, click in standard, and I want some chrome. Well, I'm sure it's inside metal, and here we have chrome polished. And I will apply this to my second sphere and a third material. Click in standard, and I will load some ceramic material. So let's go to ceramic porcelain navy blue, my third sphere. On each sample, I want to enable my background so I can appreciate in a better way if this material is transparent or if it has some kind of reflection. Now we can hit render now, and you will find the final result. You can see even some low quality caustics going through the glass. So we have glass, chrome, and some ceramic. Very nice. Okay. Now if you want to change your HDR so you can change your environmental lighting, it's very easy. You just go to Material Editor, change to Slate Material Editor again, and you need to change your HDR from the bitmap parameters. Click in there and change your HDR. Okay, and this will upgrade your HDR on your light and on your environment map. Try to render this again with the new HDR so you can see the difference. I'll make it smaller so we don't have to wait so long. There you have. One more HDR change. Only some exterior HDR. Let's say the Moon Valley. No. Power plant, I like this one. Okay. And you can see this is very interesting. You can watch your HDR inside the viewport. And now my light is a little bit blue. So for making some correction in this blue tint, I'll go again to my environment and effects, the exposure control, and I will try to use the render preview here and make a white point correction. I'll raise the value, and it's better now. You can make some color corrections here with image control. You can raise your brightness and contrast, raising the highlights value and the shadows. Of course, you can also make these corrections in post-production, but I want my final or almost final result right from my 3D application. There you go. And that's all for now. I hope you have enjoyed this procedure on 3ds Max.